Hey everybody, it's Brigade with Softboy Social Club again, and as many of you may know, I'm a police abolitionist. If you didn't know that, then I'd say pause this video and go check out my other video on police abolition in the description. Oh wait. Just realize I don't actually have to wait if you're pausing this. Alright, I'll just assume you watched it anyways and aren't lying about it because I'd make you a big jerk, so let's get back to it. Yes. I am a police abolitionist, and I'm not alone. That doesn't mean reform the police, or uptrain the police, or give the police rainbow-flagged handcuffs to say that they're proudly with us and acknowledge us, that we're here, we're queer, and we're getting 3 to 5 years. You know, that joke was pretty sad in all aspects now that I hear it out loud. It doesn't even mean defund the police. Though, yeah, I mean, we obviously wouldn't have to fund something that doesn't exist. It means the total eradication of the police force as we know it today. Period. But if you're new to the idea of police abolition, chances are your first thought is, well, then who would we call when something bad happens? Which is a very valid question to ask, and the answer, of course, is a myriad of tactics and solutions depending on geographic location and situation that would take way longer than a video that's less than 20 minutes long. Shit. That's not what you're here for. While I'm not really sure why you're here at all, I'm going to try and give the briefest of explanations into, well, if there was no police force, who are you gonna call Copyright Columbia Picture Ghost Corps subsidiary of Sony Pictures? To start with, I guess we should take a look at what we did before we had a state-run police force. The police force as we know it today is actually a fairly modern concept, with London forming their first police force in 1829 and Boston shortly after that in 1838. You're of course already aware of this because you watched my video earlier. But surely we had some form of state-run police system throughout human history before the last couple hundred years, right? What about the soldiers with the toilet brush hat thingies and such? I saw those animated Bible stories. Yes, there were soldiers, with and without scrubbing bubble caps, but they were exactly that. Soldiers. They were military that handled mostly military and national issues, like enslaving foreigners and killing Jesus. Some places had what I guess in some ways was kind of like the feds, which is another topic for another video, but mostly it was just military worrying about either defending a country or killing people in others, which really also abolishing the military. Another time, Beardo! The point being they weren't really involved in the daily affairs of the common citizen because, trust me, in most places, they really didn't give a crap what happened to them. So the burden fell on the people themselves. Most of early and middle historical civilizations relied on some form of citizen's watch, usually comprised of rotating responsibilities throughout different members of the community. And it often wasn't seen as an authoritative or particularly noble role. It was just something that had to be done. Kinda like garbage collectors, or people in Thailand putting up no grooving signs. Yes, that is a real picture I took. No, it has nothing to do with anything that this topic is about, but I really would like to know why Thailand hates Kevin Bacon so much. And a lot of the answers we need are right there. The community defense thing, not the Kevin Bacon thing. Putting the duties back onto the people who are not only members of the community, but accountable to it. This could be said for many of the services supposedly offered by the state, actually. Not only are localized community defense patrols more familiar with the people they serve, but removing the force out of the state's control in which we have almost no say other than maybe every couple of years selecting their bosses so they can ignore us again. But that doesn't mean we should go directly back to the system of old. Pretty much nobody thinks going directly backwards to much of anything is a good idea. Like bloodletting or chattel slavery. Those would be a bad thing, I'd say, to start up again. That, gets a big old Breadbeard no-go stamp on the old chattel slavery. Hey, I guess this would be a good point to say that it does actually still exist. We just call it prison labor, so yay. As a matter of fact, those that compromised the Night's Watch, as it was often called, weren't the greatest of people. Many workers were just working to avoid prison time, and often either failed to do their jobs or only did their jobs if they were offered bribes. In the States, this led to eventually only the wealthy getting protection, and even many constables colluding with the thieves and splitting the payoffs for getting the rich people their stuff back. Which, you know, the last part, I don't really have so much of a problem with. But this was just the start of a long line of cops and abuse that only ramped up since then. Like, way up. point is, it wasn't a perfect system by far. As a matter of fact, the police acts that brought about modern police forces were in attempts to bring some accountability to those patrols. Makes sense, right? Everyone pays taxes, so if we make a system where the watchmen are on the taxpayers' payroll, then they'll have more accountability, right? And that totally worked out, right? Like, the rich and the poor are punished with the same standards now, right? The people have the power over the actions of the police now, right? I'm continuing this question bit unnecessarily long after I've made my point, right? The problem here is that we kept the state involved, and the state is a beast we tell ourselves we have control over, but in reality, we have very little say in. Did you get a say in your city's police budget last year? Or what their duties should be? Did you have any active role whatsoever in how you're being governed at all, other than maybe once every 2 years getting to choose between the roughly equally creepy creeps who were previously chosen for you? Hey, wait a sec. That doesn't seem like I have much of a say at all. So what do you got for me then, Brady Beard? Pitch me that perfect solution that's so much better then. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a perfect solution that covers everything for everyone in a nice, neat little bun, but like I said, there are definitely complexities involved, but yeah, it would use something more like the community defense systems of old, where some or even all of the community have the responsibility of keeping everyone safe, not some force that we have no control over. Hey, wait a minute. Just a second ago, you were saying bad stuff about those old-timey defense patrols. You're right. But, like, that doesn't mean we can't fix things. If something doesn't work, you don't have to just keep doing it the same way over and over again. That's what we're doing right now. Imagine you're having a party and everyone pitched in to get a cake. Not like a Walmart cake either. I'm talking like a 6-layer ice cream cake with Bailey's frosting and whole Hershey Kisses on the top. Or whatever kind of shit gets your mouth watering. But everyone wants to get in there a little early and snag some, so everyone decides people should take turns guarding it until it's cake time. Everyone learns the rules, the do's and don'ts, gets trained in de-escalation and everything else necessary to make a good cake watchman. Yes, I do realize this analogy has already outstretched believability, but I've already written it, so we're gonna roll with it. Chuck and Susan are up first, but they don't want to get stuck with guard duty the whole time, so it's decided to do rotations. So everyone has a little work to keep the party, and by party I mean cake, safe, but everyone also has a chance to have their free time. So after some time, they're relieved by Clara and Javier, whose name no one can ever really pronounce correctly, but he's cool about it, he doesn't really mind, and so on. But in a system where there's an entirely separate force to do all the guard work, if something happens to the cake, or someone's choked to death because they thought they were on their way to the bathroom, which can really poop a party, there's nobody to hold them accountable except their bosses, of whom none of you are. And their bosses and partners, yeah, they're not going to take them in, considering 99% of police murders never see conviction. What about other problems not directly related to public safety, like Tina having 12 too many Mai Tais and smashing that really cool lamp in the corner, or Jeff dealing coke in the bathroom, which... in Susan's mom's house, Jeff? Not cool, dude. Not cool. You have other people with responsibilities for specific situations. People who are trained to deal with those situations without, and I can't stress this enough, the use of force. Because you don't need armed troops to deal with those things. If you watched my other video, again, I'll know if you didn't, you might remember this graph showing the average breakdown of US police duties. That 4% down there is the dangerous part. 4%! We are delegating so much responsibility and power to a single force to deal with all of this other stuff anyways? Like, we don't expect police officers to drive the buses, so why do we call them when the bus has an accident? Why do we have them for all these other tasks that don't require a weapon and a seething urge to prove their superiority? Hell, let's just give all the tasks to the cops then. Let's give a Glock and a license to kill to the meter readers. The state house tour guides, telephone repairman, he's a cop now too. That old dude calling bingo down at the nursing home, get him out of there and get me someone with a badge and some bullets in there. And you best believe he will put a bullet in Mrs. Krakenmeyer if she gets rowdy after winning that toaster. Or we could try something different. We could find what has worked in the past and change what didn't. We could stop running around in circles doing the same thing while people die or have their lives ruined because we didn't have a say in what's fair and what is just legal murder. We can have people fit for the right job and only do that job. We, the community, can be their bosses. And that also includes crimes that aren't currently creating a violent situation. If our cake was found to have a big bite taken out of it, yes, I'm back on the horrible cake metaphor, we could still have people tasked with finding out what happened. But they don't have to be the same people with the capability to end life, because those two things don't balance out. Different, mostly unarmed workers tasked to do different roles who are actually accountable to their communities just makes more sense. I've heard the argument before that there could be just racist neighborhoods, that they'll just put in their own racist members and rules, and what about that Zimmerman guy? Wasn't he a part of a community watch? Checkmate, loaf whiskers. Might put in racist cops and laws? Isn't that already kind of the problem? We're talking about removing the cops, and to be honest, removing a lot of the laws that only exist for their ability to arrest people. Cops cause crime, not deter it. A team of different task forces interwoven into the community doing their specific duties that can be revoked by that community means nobody ever really holds that much power over another member. And that would include a racist with a gun trying to play Batman in a suburban neighborhood. Sure, folks like George Zimmerman have done horrible things in the name of protecting their communities, but who gave them that authority? And who are they accountable to? We don't need any superheroes. We just need people helping each other. I mean, would you really want Batman anyways? Dude's had access to every resource imaginable in 80 years to clean up Gotham. Hashtag build housing, not batarangs, Bruce. Also, stop thinking of communities as a couple of blocks in the suburbs. Sure, it's best if the size is kept small so everyone knows everyone, but that's not always feasible in large cities or even necessary. And that's fine. Different communities can network together and share resources. We already do this with wards and precincts. You just don't have any control over them. It's been well documented and even proven that in a society not directly driven by profit, that the average person's workload would drop probably over half. It would be no different for a rotating, well-trained defense patrol, working only on their small roles for their community safety, while letting the other community workers do their jobs, all with the goal of prevention and restorative justice. If you're asking who would we call, I want to ask you, why are you calling the cops for so many things in the first place? Of course, there are a lot of factors at play here, like income inequality, the for-profit prison system, the ongoing effects of past systemic racism like redlining and school zoning, not to mention the new ones we're cooking up every day. Like I said, it would require a lot of tactics that aren't going to fit into one video, but removing the current manner of policing is a giant part of the puzzle. Like, almost all the edge pieces that really should be easy to figure out, yet you're just trying to stick a corner piece with the unicorn horn into the piece with the surfboard, and you keep telling yourselves, if you just keep at it, it'll fit. We don't need to call in the brigade to tell us how to fix things, because if we actually set our communities up properly, all of us are the brigade. Or better yet, all of us are the workers, the helpers, the neighbors. But none of us are the cops. But yeah, sure, we can still have cool superhero names if you want. We're the Justice Group. Hey folks, I just want to say a huge thank you to all my supporters on Patreon and Ko-fi Gold, which is the exact same as Patreon. You get the same perks, but they don't fleece me for 13%. So you too can go to patreon.com/softboysocialclub or ko-fi.com/softboysocialclub and give me money so this channel can actually stay alive. Hey, speaking of money, do you know who really needs money? Anti-fascist activists. That's why for this Christmas Eve, come join us on this channel and on American Johnson's channel Non-Compete, where we'll be doing a live fundraiser for the Antifa International Anti-Fascist Defense Fund to help them meet their year-end goals. So make sure to check back here, hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell to make sure you don't miss it. Bye. We're the Wonder People. We're called the Super Acquaintanceships. I don't know you that well. I mean, maybe over time. We're the Mighty Sopranos. We can be the X chromosomes. I got nothing. Bye.